Let's talk guns now.
A little bit of freedom here.
The Gun Show.
Well, we're trying.
The First Amendment, freedom of speech and choice.
This is The Gun Show, where real gun talk happens. Anything goes. The Gun Show, sponsored by Vintage Arms of Illinois. Live and local on AM 1050 WLIP.
Back my bullet. Put 'em back where they belong. Ain't fooling around 'cause I've done had my fun. Ain't gonna see no more damage done. Back my bullet.
Good morning. Get your butt out of bed and get some breakfast going. I don't recommend anything heavy. It's going to be hot today. Back from the world tour is me, Mike, and George. We were in Denver, and we want to say thank you to Clint for not completely ruining the show, although there were some comments made that I'm not quite sure what they were trying to imply. Our phone number here in the studio at AM 1050 is 262-694-1050. This is The Gun Show. This is your Second Amendment show. Are you pro-gun? Call in. Are you anti-gun? Please call in. We don't have a topic today other than one we're going to throw out in a minute, and this is your show as well as ours, so feel free to call in, give us something to talk about, and we'll go for it. The Gun Show is brought to you by Hamilton Tax and Accounting over in Grays Lake, Illinois. If you have tax issues, need tax planning, need tax advice, need business advice, if you want to form a business, give Steve a call. Mention The Gun Show, and your first consultation is free. His phone number is 224-381-2660 or 911.tax. Along with me today, as always, or at least most of the time, is our good friend George the Golden Greek Dukas and Clinton Hartford. Clint, tell us about yourself briefly. Okay, that's
What do you
enough.
want to know?
What do you do? Why are you here?
What do I do?
Yeah.
I work with firearms all day.
Cool. Great job. Where at?
5-Star Firearms, and I'm here because I love guns.
Is there a phone number at 5-Star Firearms? It's a shameless self-plug, man.
There is 847-731-7898.
And George, tell us about yourself.
Good morning out there. Happy Memorial Day. What's wrong?
supposed to say Happy Memorial Day.
Yeah, it's
No.
not Happy Memorial Day.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I mean, yeah, okay. I usually mess up like that. But my name is George Dukas, and I'm head one of the sponsors on this program. And
Dukas Automotive?
Dukas Automotive in Zion, Illinois, 847-872-3333, and mention the show, and you'll have a surprise for you.
Excellent. Let's go right to the phones. Good morning. You're on The Gun Show. Who are we talking to?
Oh, this is John.
Hi, how you doing?
Not too bad, my friend. How about yourself?
Oh, we're upright and take his nourishment. What's on your mind
Is this the
morning?
doc? The Doc Handley?
This is Doc Hanley. Yes.
How you doing?
I work with Clinton, and I thought you
I'm
guys
sorry.
mentioned that.
Are you calling in
you
to
don't have
quit?
a topic for today?
No,
What's that?
we actually do. We're going to talk about unicorn guns in a little bit.
That's awesome. We do have that lower that you can purchase from Spikes Tactical. It has the unicorn on it. It's got the fiery mechanism, says like safe, full libtard, that kind of stuff. It's pretty cool.
You can actually get that infilled in the colors of your choice too, correct?
Yeah.
That is correct.
Excellent.
So
All right.
I thought one thing that a lot of our customers ask us at 5-Star is what happens when they purchase a gun. What's the track of the 4473? So I thought maybe you guys might want to talk to them about, how it's filed. A lot of people seem to think that when you fill out the 4473, that gets sent to the ATF and, their guns are registered. So I thought it might be a good topic for you guys to talk about.
We'll bring it up. We've done it before, and you are right. That is one of the biggest lack of knowledge areas of how that actually works. The other thing people aren't aware of, and this goes to folks doing private sales, is how a trace works. So two good topics for us, and it's not like we didn't plan. Both Clint and I are not in the mood for doom and gloom right now. So we're going to move on, but we'll get to that.
All right.
Thank you for the call. I thought maybe you're calling in to quit or something and couldn't get a hold of Clint earlier. But
To quit, I was surprised after last week I didn't get invited back.
you guys did a good job other than, I don't know, my son was kind of corrupted. And That's
Nah,
our producer, by the way.
I think Kurt
folks.
did a great job.
He did a great job, and he sounded.
He's got a
good.
good
did a great
radio
job.
voice.
He
and-
does. He's
yeah,
got a voice for radio and a face for newspaper.
perfect.
There you go.
Going out of business. So.
All right. You guys have a good morning. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All
Yeah.
right.
So to touch on his topic, we'll get to that when we get to this letter that you got from
Okay.
our Grays Lake student. But I had somebody ask me the other day, why is George Dukas on your show? He's an automotive guy. And I said,
we needed the money
yeah.
and the donuts, but that hasn't worked out well.
But one of the things a lot of people don't know about George is, if I get an old Winchester in or something and I don't have all the direct answers or knowledge on it, I can call George and ask him, and usually he'll give me an answer because
Or he calls me.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, truly,
Which is actually how I met him, through you.
Right.
So I'm going to get you
yeah,
back
and that
for
was
this.
one of the things. I think he had brought in a firearm that I didn't have the answers to, and I think that was a Colt Dragoon or something of that
A
nature.
Dragoon and a 60 Army.
But yeah, George is a huge firearm aficionado and fairly decent expert when it comes to Winchester firearms.
Phones are lighting up. Let's
They
take
are.
the first call.
Hit 'em.
Good morning. You're on the Gun Show. Who we talking to and where you from?
This is Keith. I'm calling from Trevor, Wisconsin.
Hi, Keith.
Morning.
What's on your mind this morning, sir?
Well, first of all, happy Memorial Day to everyone.
Okay.
Got a question for Clint here. I'm having some issues here trying to cast bullets in the 500 grain for 458 SOCOM, and I got a lead bullet mold, and it's got these lube grooves in it.
Yep.
I'm thinking about drilling out this mold and making it a smooth bore and powder coating it. Have you done that before?
I have not, but I do know that they sell the kits, and it's fairly easy to do. I know a couple people that started coating their own bullets, and it's a lot better on your firearm. But the one guy I know that's doing it production style out of his garage actually went and bought a cement mixer from Harbor Freight, and he actually tumbles them in his this cheap little cement mixer. But
They do have those, and it does work.
yeah, and you know what? Coated bullets it's kind of the wave of the future. It's cleaner than copper and much safer than raw lead. So it eliminates the
Oh, yeah.
contamination when you're handling them. But other than that, it's actually a lot better on your barrels. So
Did that?
Yeah, and I've got this quick load software, and I put that friction component into the equation, and it actually gives pretty favorable results over copper plated
yeah,
or
absolutely.
copper coated. Yeah.
Yeah, it eliminates the fouling. So the thing is, with a coated bullet, it's going to form to your rifling, and it's not going to shave off. And I've actually done some experimental work with the coating when it first came out. We loaded them as hot and heavy as we possibly could to try and melt the coating, and it's actually pretty hard. So when I do coated bullets, I actually load them with copper jacket load data because they can handle the high temperatures. But unlike lead, when you get lead too hot, you start melting and fouling and things of that nature. But it keeps your gun a lot cleaner.
Cool.
Can you not get that dye with lube grooves in it, or the bullet
I've looked
mold?
around. I've looked, and unless I go with a real expensive mold from NOE or something like that, But this 500 grain pill is like almost perfect what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not sure what the deal is with coating on a bullet that has lube grooves, but that'd be something to look into. I don't know why you couldn't, backfill the lube grooves, but...
Well, I'll go ahead and try it, and I'll call back and complain next week then.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks for the call, Keith. Let us know what happens. All right, next caller. Good morning. You're on the Gun Show. Who we talking to and where you from?
Hey, this is Thomas Kroll with GunRightsForIllinois.com. How are you guys doing?
Good, and I hate your calls because I know what they're going to be lately, but go ahead.
No, I'm going to be positive and upbeat
Are you?
for all the doom and gloom coming from the Illinois legislature.
You got any good news?
Well, we were talking yesterday briefly about unicorn guns yesterday, and it reminded me of an event last weekend with the Illinois Gun Owners Together Facebook group. And we do an event twice a year. The spring event was last weekend, and we had what's somewhat of a unicorn gun for Illinois residents, and that is full auto firearms.
Cool.
And we got to shoot various different goodies. I was shooting an M4 full auto short barrel, and it's something that I recommend everybody try.
I agree, and I've only done it once, and it's a long way around the barn. Is I got a call from Tommy Regan, who drives a NASCAR truck, and he was looking for sponsorship. Why he would call me, I do not know, but he invited me down to St. Louis.
All that money.
Yeah, I've been bailing it recently. But he called me, invited me down to St. Louis. He had changed the name of his truck to the gun truck. He was searching high and low for sponsors, and part of the deal was dinner, and you get to shoot machine guns at a range, and they were paying for the ammo. I could not pass that up.
No, you can't pass
That's
that
the only
up.
time
you can burn
I've
ammo real quick.
Other than when I had a 1911 go nuts once. I've never really played much. But when is next I Got Shoot?
So we do the big one twice a year, spring and fall. The next one's going to be October. We haven't picked a date, but we're going to have Barry from BAT Arms back again. He's the Class 3 dealer that has the full auto, and anyone who wants to come down, it's going to be at Buffalo Range in Ottawa, Illinois again. And, so we'll have that full auto. And there's rumor, we haven't confirmed it yet, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to get a car down in their pit that we can utterly destroy.
If Kurt's car don't start anymore, we might be able to donate one.
Light it up.
I'll bring my Rigby if I'm in town and I still have the Rigby. Otherwise, I'll raid George's cabinet. You got a 4590, George?
I think so.
I think we can bring George, and we'll bring some 4590 ammo and show you young people what old-time guns can be fun for.
I'd love to get my hands on a Rigby.
Well, come on up. I'll let you touch it. We only charge $1.
Great. Excellent.
I enjoy shooting the full
You
autos.
use both hands.
It's the cost of the ammo that gets me. So I mean,
That's the great thing about the St. Louis trip is I shot more ammo than the whole trip cost me.
yeah.
in value.
So I mean, when I do have an opportunity to shoot full auto, I always take advantage of it, but it's very short lived. And
Yes, it is.
All right, you're gonna call in next week because they're ending session the first week of June, which will be the 3rd, is a week from Monday, correct?
Yeah, I'll give you guys a call again when the session's about to end or after it ends, and maybe give a real quick recap.
Yeah, I know it's been a train
of what
wreck,
happened.
and I was out of town, and I'll be totally honest, it was actually kind of nice to get away from the politics for a while. But just to throw it out, we appreciate what you do. Tom kind of herds a couple of Facebook groups, and he keeps people in track when to send in witness up what bills are coming up. I get them from other sources too, but Tom's always there with the best information and most timely. So
thank you, sir.
We've adopted you. You're always welcome to call in, especially when some action's needed.
I appreciate that.
And my standard disclaimer, because I always feel that the Wisconsin folks might feel we're not, or even our out-of-state listeners might feel we're slighting them. It's everywhere, folks. It isn't just in
we
Illinois.
have a Facebook group for them. A couple of weeks ago, Illinois Gun Owners Together threw together, Wisconsin Gun Owners Together, Indiana Gun Owners Together. So just get on Facebook, search it, and you can get involved in your own community.
Yeah, and that's the only way we're going to be able to keep things in check. You're going to see changes. We've already seen changes. But if we don't do anything, in gun owners, it's like herding cats. I don't envy what you do at all, and I know I try not to be too big a wise guy, but it's crazy with this political climate. And hopefully when they go on break, they'll settle down and we can approach them and have some normal conversations, which is the real reason for this show, by the way.
I'm looking forward to the break.
Other than this drum up business for George, Clint, and myself. All right, Tom, we're going to move on, and I think the topic is unicorn guns, isn't it, Clint?
it is, but we took George's mic away this morning.
Oh,
so.
let's give George a mic.
What do you want me to talk about?
What?
Unicorn gun.
Okay, my unicorn gun, I don't know if everybody knows that I'm a John Wayne nut. And I guess the one thing that would make me the happiest gun owner in the world is if I'd had one of his guns that he actually used in a movie. And that's where I don't care if it's a Colt or a Winchester.
Well, I don't really know where you'd find one. I know most of them came through the prop shop, and the one he used last, which is the one in Big Jake and most of the 60s and early cowboy movies, is in circulation.
It is.
Yes, it's been identified. It's actually a piece of junk gun. And it also has finger-carved grips, which you really never notice in the movie unless you actually, the one that comes to mind is Big Jake has the best scenes of it. And sure enough, if you stop the screen and upset whoever you're watching the movie with, go up and look at it, the grips on that gun are finger-carved, which may not sound normal. This thing's squeaking. May not sound normal, but he had big hands, and it was just the way that gun turned out.
Yeah, and I guess I just assumed that most of John Wayne's stuff was in private collections somewhere.
No, they were prop
I
guns.
do have a copy of that gun. Just got from you. Remember?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Did you charge them too much for it?
Of course.
Twice
we
as
always
much. That's
Twice
what we
as
do.
much? Yeah, that's where you start.
That's how we keep the lights on at 5-star.
Yeah.
George walks in the door and looks for something, and, hey,
guys,
George, there's only one left.
We're eating this week. So the John Wayne commemorative in the box I got coming in this week, I should maybe call you.
If you really have that.
The commemorative John
Supposed
Wayne.
to anyway. Yeah, it's a 9432, which actually I thought I knew a fair amount about these things. I did not realize they did 94s in the Duke in 3240, which is 32 WCF. There's your education. You can use that on Jeopardy if you wish.
3240 is 32 Winchester.
3220.
Yeah,
32
32
no,
Winchester
3220.
center fire.
Actually, 3220 is 32 WCF.
Okay.
3240 is different.
Yeah.
You get lost in this caliber thing sometime. All right, Clint, what's yours? Or
Mine?
one of yours, yeah.
Actually, I have two on my hit list. So one of them's obtainable and one of them isn't. For me, it would be International Harvester M1 Garand mint condition. I just particularly fond
How many
of
did
that
we
one.
see last week?
Yeah.
20?
Yeah. What's the price on them? About 25 to 3, right?
And 2 to 3.
Okay. So that's obtainable for me. That's a gun that I want to have someday, but it's specifically the International Harvester version.
The reason the Harvesters come kind of on the lower end is they were actually built post-World War II but used in Korea.
Right.
The World War II vintage ones, regardless of the manufacturer, always seem to carry a premium to the later guns. The two big manufacturers during Korea were H&R, Harrington, and Richardson, and International Harvester, both of whom built good guns.
Yeah. And I know a bunch of M1s just came back from Korea. So
Yeah, and I guess CMP has released pricing on the 1911s as well, and it sounds like they're rather expensive.
And that's unicorn gun number 2 for me is a Singer sewing machine 1911.
Legit or illegitimate? Because there's more.
Legit. Here's the problem I have with it is if I do ever find one, I probably won't be able to afford it. I saw the last one sold for a little over $100,000 at auction.
I saw a rat sell for $45,000 10 years ago.
Yeah.
They're highly sought after. Only 500 were manufactured under government contract.
Yep. There's only 500. Yeah. Truly in existence, 500.
The
of them.
rarest 1911 government issue, government U.S. property is, and it never. I don't even know that they're marked U.S. property because they were experimental. North American Arms.
Yeah, they didn't get the contract.
Right,
how that
because
worked out.
they were junk.
Right.
And they were made in Canada. Okay, the second one is a Singer.
Yeah.
And this is for both wars. Then is Remington Remington UMC. Happened to have one of those.
Huh.
Then, and that was about 22,000 produced. That's M1. That's M1 carbine. We're talking 1911s. If you have a Rockola in 1911, something's wrong.
Yeah.
That's a true unicorn.
Yeah.
Because it
I thought
don't.
we were still on that.
Technically, yeah, it doesn't exist. And then we move on to Union Switch and Signal, which of the non-armory manufacturers was probably the best made 1911, even better than Colt's in my humble opinion. They did 2 contracts, approximately 55,000 total. I've had a half a dozen or better over the years. They're great guns, very collectible. Then Springfield Armory is the next least produced. They were World War I only, as was the Remington UMC. Springfield, tit for tat, in 1911, not an A1, both made in that period. The Springfields are actually nicer than the Colts, but it's razor thin.
And a lot of that's preference based off your makers. So, like, George here is a huge Colt collector. I mean, that would probably be up his alley. But he ran into a similar situation a few years ago with a Colt Dragoon. We looked at this gun for, I don't know, how many weeks did we look at this thing for? We looked up every, feature that we could find to try and confirm and identify this Colt Dragoon. But the problem is that there were so many knockoffs of it and they were such good knockoffs that they're extremely hard to identify. And the problem is there's no traceable records for them.
Well, there's records on some, and it depends on which gun, which series, and time period.
Yeah.
And I saw George's gun, and I told him when I saw it, it was fake, but to cover my butt because all he wanted to do was insure it and on the outside chance. So what we did was we wrote up an appraisal, assuming it was an original, and then we put it into the hands of, I mean, I know a fair amount, but my suspicions were that it was fake. And we went to a number of other people. In the overwhelming consensus is that it was fake. It was.
Yeah.
What we don't know is, was it an Italian gun that had been reworked, which is very common in that genre? And here's a pro tip, kids. If you want one of those old-time guns to shoot, buy a modern reproduction. It's a better gun.
Yeah.
Including the 1873s, the 1886s, the 1892s. It's modern steel, modern machining, tighter tolerances, better barrels, and they're not all worn out. They didn't sit there and get corroded on. So if you're looking for a shooter, I mean, the 1873s that Uberti puts out, I think are great.
I think Uberti is probably one of the better manufacturers of vintage reproduction firearms.
I mean, at the gun show, not this gun show, but the Lake County Gun and Sportsman show for the Toys for Tots drive, we give a gun away for Toys for Tots.
Yeah.
And it's the first one was an Uberti Henry rifle, not Henry that you're thinking, but the old Henry, start of Winchester. And that thing almost didn't go to the owner because I wanted to keep it. And then the next one was one of their custom editions, 1866s, which was it was done in a finish that wasn't, well, I guess it would replicate, but actually what it was a gun done in the white with a charcoal blue barrel, and it was a great engraving platform.
Yeah.
If you wanted to engrave a gun, that was a beautiful place to start. And I mean, we give those things out. We donate the gun show, and my business, Vintage Arms of Illinois, shameless plug, 548-0433. Area code is 847.
He's quick. Yeah, he's quick, isn't he? Slip that
never
in there.
miss an opportunity to eat.
So I can't talk about it.
I'm trying not to move it because it squeaks so bad. I'm trying to get him to move
So
it.
Kurt stole George's mic, and he's not saying anything over
Talk,
there.
Kurt.
So that makes it
Kurt's
sound
our
like
producer. He happens to be my son.
Well, I've got one question. What is a unicorn?
The unicorn is the gun, and I never answered mine yet, but the unicorn is the gun that you're searching for. Either it completes a collection you've always wanted. It doesn't mean it's exceptionally rare, exceptionally valuable. And in brutal frankness, the majority of my business is the lead into why people are buying a particular gun is I had one when I was a kid, or I sold it when money was tight, and now they're buying
gotta
it.
get
A
it
lot
back.
like muscle cars. Okay. In my case, we're coming up. We'll do break after this. Well, we can go to break now if you want. But I have a couple, and we'll do the first one, then we'll do break. And the first one I want is an 1886 Deluxe Takedown in 50 caliber. That's original and affordable. I will never find it because they're not affordable. No, I mean half the price of my house on some of those. But let's head it to break, and when we come back, I'm going to tell you what the other ones are, and maybe you're going to help me out with that today later. So off to break we go. When we come back, phone lines will be open. If you want to talk about something else, give us a jingle. We'll take care of it for you.
Let's talk guns now.
A little bit of freedom here.
This is The Gun Show, where real gun talk happens. Anything goes. The Gun Show, sponsored by Vintage Arms of Illinois. Live and local on AM 1050 WLIP.
No, we're on.
We're on? Okay.
We're on.
Wow.
Our producer's working on new buttons over there.
I don't know what happened with the YouTube song, but it didn't want to go.
What's going on, Kurt? You're supposed to have this stuff ready before the show.
That's why you
going.
make
What are we
all that-
paying you for?
Yeah, that's why you make
Paying
all
me
that
nothing.
money.
Yeah.
Don't complain about your pay now either. So.
Check didn't bounce.
Hey,
did it?
and by the way, last week when you said you hit the dump button
Yeah.
on Doc, that it didn't work.
Oh,
I don't
wow.
know if you listened to the show or not, but
No, I haven't.
Do you want me to test it out?
No, please don't. Well, actually, the contract's in your name. Go for
It's
it.
true, it is.
Give her.
Come and look for me. All right, we're back. Yeah, so we're just sitting around talking, drinking coffee. AM 1050 WLI Pike. God, I love the fact that we have a radio show with a disclaimer ahead of it. It must mean
Yeah,
bad
it sounds
boys and
important,
outlaws.
right?
Call the studio, 262-694-1050. And no, I don't know Lenny Palmer personally. We are brought to you by Hamilton Tax in the County, Vintage Arms of Illinois, Dukas, I don't know, automotive repair, whatever they do over there, and Clinton at 5-Star Firearms Shooting Range and Asphalt Seal Coating. Anyway, we were talking about unicorn guns or whatever the phones want to talk about, and I mentioned the 1886 original 50 takedown deluxe, preferably a short rifle. It's not that I have huge wants. The other one that is obtainable, although it's going to take me a while, is a Smith & Wesson Model 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, all no dash, new or as new in the box.
Those are good wants.
Yeah, because I think the most produced numbered of those, which you have to know your Smiths, is less than 300.
Yeah. And those aren't totally unobtainable. You can find them.
Actually, I could probably call the Fugate brothers and have all of them, but I'd have to sell my son and pony up some additional money. Might not be a bad
He may
trade.
not mind that.
No, I might not. So anyway, what's on your mind this morning? Let us know. You wanted to read something.
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, actually, when I took notes last night, if you look, I actually drew a picture of you and George in Colorado. See that?
Oh,
I actually became so bored. I was thinking about the show, and I drew this little picture.
Really?
See that?
That's
He's
disturbing
holding a
as can be.
gun. You're holding a rifle. See that, Kurt?
Oh, that's beautiful.
You like that?
Oh, yeah.
Stick figures and all?
Yeah.
How do you do a stick figure cowboy hat like that?
I don't know.
How do you do a stick bigger version of those two?
Let's get off this topic and answer the phone.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Gun Show. This is Mike.
I can hardly hear you.
You can? I'm sorry.
I'm calling because my dad left my son a Winchester 1910 or 10 gauge.
Okay.
1898.
Is it the lever action gun?
It's a bronze 10 gauge.
What type of action does it have? Is it a pump or is there a lever?
Yeah,
Pump
it's
action
got
10 gauge?
like the rifleman guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's the lever.
that's
That's
the lever,
actually
yeah.
an 1883.
You have a lever action 10 gauge.
Yeah.
I have never seen that.
Oh, they're
Yeah.
so ugly, they're cute.
I'm a 10
It
gauge
breaks apart
fanatic.
in two pieces.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know much about it. I just wondered what might be worth.
I got to believe that's got to be worth something, huh? I've never.
I
didn't
want to
even
make
know they
sure
existed.
that we're talking about the same gun. Are you sure it's a 10 gauge? Are you sure it's a
Yes.
10 gauge? Okay.
Yes, Winchester 10.
And it's like the rifleman, you use your hand and
Yeah.
rack
and,
it like a
and,
lever gun?
and he said that it was 1898 last time they made one or something.
Wow. Now, I kind of have
That's
a.
always a little bit arbitrary. There were two. One is in 1901, which was a derivative of the 1883. And
This is a new unicorn gun for me.
Really?
I had no idea they made a lever action 10 gauge.
oh yeah, did you ever see a Terminator?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what. It was a cut down one. You can buy repos of
He
them.
got it in the 20s.
Okay. Well, here's the thing on valuations.
He called it his rabbit gun.
Wouldn't be much left of the rabbit after
I
No,
that.
that's a
I know.
more. The thing on those is the early ones, which yours could be, is they were case colored receivers. They were made for black powder only. They had somewhat thin barrels. They're subject to a lot of corrosion and pitting.
Yeah, it was taken care of well.
Okay. The later ones were only made in blue. They were available in 12 gauge, and they can bring a good buck, but without seeing it in person, it's hard to evaluate the condition, and it's hard to evaluate the originality.
Yeah.
So-
Many years ago, I worked at Gator Mountain when it was out in Wilmot, and I had a guy take a look at it, and that was, it's probably 30 years ago, and he said something about $1,000 then.
If it was mint, that would be top of the line. I sold 2 museum quality ones about 5 years ago, and I had to work really hard to get 2,000 out of them, and they were museum quality.
This might be.
I'm looking at a model 1901 lever action 10 gauge shotgun on, where are we? Rock Island auction. Just sold for, and this thing's mint condition. It's beautiful. And it's sold for $3,200.
Okay.
Wow.
And that's a mint condition Winchester model 1901 lever action 10 gauge.
Oh, see, this is 1898 10 gauge.
Don't trust the dates.
Okay.
One of our show
A lot of
guests-
those are patent dates that end up
Right.
on firearms,
maybe.
and people think that that's actually the year it was produced, and it's not. It's just a patent production date, but still
See, the guy
cool.
told
Cool
me
gun
that
to
was the
own.
last year they made them or something.
We'll see. They made the 83, which was the predecessor to the 01.
Yeah.
So it could be an 83. And they made both 10 and 12. So without taking a look at it,
sure,
it's hard to
Okay.
tell you what it's worth. But if you want to bring it in, I'll look at it real quick and give you an
Well-
idea. You might want to insure it, and that's something maybe we should bring up is if you have value in your guns, which most anything you buy new today is going to be over the deductible, and if you've got more than one, probably over the standard limit in a homeowner's policy.
Now,
It's-
does it matter what kind of carvings on the wood?
There shouldn't be any carving.
No, they made a checkered version.
Well,
no, it doesn't.
checkering's
It doesn't
different.
have it. It's just it doesn't have any. That's why I was wondering.
Is
if
it smooth?
Yeah.
Okay, the majority of that particular
It's
model.
dark.
Yeah, some of it's oil. The majority of those were uncheckered. Typically, checkered on a gun indicates, not always, a little bit higher grade gun. So
Okay.
the thing with guns is never say never, because they were most of the manufacturers were very accommodating to their customers.
Yeah.
And certain manufacturers were more accommodating. Winchester was pretty accommodating. Colt was not. But Smith & Wesson, if you brought me a Smith & Wesson that had a titanium cylinder, a blue barrel, a nickel frame, one clear plastic grip and the other one made of ivory, and told me it was factory original,
No.
until I had documentation to the contrary, I'd agree with you.
It's
'Cause they would do
real
anything.
old. I mean, it's
Well, give me a call in the shop, and if you're interested in finding out more about it, bring it down, and we'll tell you what you've got, and we can write an appraisal for your insurance company, and I'll double check what they're bringing in the current
I don't
market.
know much about it. All I remember when I was a kid is that it broke in half,
Okay.
and it was like 2 parts that you put together.
Yep.
And I know the case is gone because it just
Don't worry
like
about that.
disintegrated.
Yeah, leather does that. We're going to move on. We appreciate the call. My number, if you want it, 847-548-0433. And thank you for the call. Keep listening.
Thank you.
So anyway, big frame Smiths.
Yeah.
End frame Smiths. And the reason that some of those are real scarce is the Model 27 and the Model 29 and the Model 28 were the 44 and 357. People tended to go to the 44 mag and the 357 as opposed to buying the 38s and the 44 specials, because the appearance is a 29 is more versatile. It'll shoot 44s or Magnum and specials.
Yeah, and they made a lot of collectible versions of the 29, but the
No, they
20
didn't. Smith & Wesson made very few
the
commemoratives.
Target, well, not commemorative. I'm saying, Target model, custom
Well,
grip.
the 29 was...
A lot of the stuff that came out in the 80s, I think, was some of their better work.
I would disagree with you.
Okay.
Their best work is 50s and 60s, in my opinion. The 80s stuff, and Smith generally goes by dash numbers, and dash numbers indicate engineering changes. And some are minor, some are major. The rule of thumb, and it varies from series to series. I think the Model 10, there's like 17 dashes. I think they're up to 10 or 11 on the 29, even though it went out of production.
Yeah.
What they did was they did have the 12-gun series. They were very accommodating about special barrel lengths. They were very accommodating about grips. But your options where you could have standard trigger, standard sight, standard hammer, and then you could have a target trigger. That's called the 3 Ts: target trigger, target hammer, target sights, or target grips. And you could pick any of those things if you were ordering.
For the Model 10, what was the rare barrel length? There was one that had there was a short production barrel length on the
I believe
Model
it's
10.
a 3-inch.
3-inch?
Yeah, but look at it this way. If you roll back, pre-27s are called registered Magnums, even though not all are registered. In a true registered Magnum, barrel lengths were available in 1/8-inch increments.
Yeah, and it's like Colt Python. I think I recall seeing a pair of 2-inch Colt Pythons.
The rarest in the
Snake
Colt,
Eyes.
Oh, the Snake Eyes?
Yeah.
I have a friend that has 5 sets of those.
Yeah, those go for huge money.
25 grand a set.
Yeah, something crazy like that.
The rarest, though, in a Python is the California Combat and the regular Python 3-inch. But as with all things that get expensive, you need factory letters, and you need authentic factory letters because fake letters exist. 3-inch, the California Combat, as I recall, they had made an 8-inch barrel length that did not sell because they're kind of cumbersome. So you could cut an 8-inch barrel into 2 pieces and make 2 3-inch guns, which is what they did, and it was done by, I believe the company was Pacific Engineering out in California. So a legit California Combat 3-inch actually comes in a Pacific Engineering box. And if you're buying these things, be astute enough to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because you are well into the 5 digits.
Wow.
And authenticity matters. And I was at the Colt Collector. I'm a member. I was at the Colt Collectors Show last October, and we were talking about fake letters. And we're also talking about guns that at one point didn't letter and now do letter. And well, you've got one, but yours is legit. These are guns that are, say, a 3-inch, and they tried to letter it, and it kept coming back, whatever the original barrel length, and all of a sudden there's a 3-inch letter on it. So be careful when you're into collectible guns. In my opinion right now is Pythons are probably capped out. They're up, they're down, but they're in a very narrow trading range.
Yeah, the price recently just went up on them a little bit, and the one that
Depends on the
dropped,
gun.
yeah, the one that dropped was the Anaconda.
Yeah,
that thing totally tanked.
right.
Yeah, the price on them went in the hole.
Now, George has a Lightning 1877 model, and he brought it in after he bought it, and he's like, look at the letter, and I'm looking at the letter, and I'm looking at the gun, and it's identified by serial number, and actually had 2 letters, did you not? That when he got it, he had 2 letters on this gun. There was no way his gun was the gun in the letters. It could not be done. It isn't a case of faking. It was a case of it was the wrong caliber. It had the wrong barrel address. Yours was a storekeeper?
Yeah. Okay,
it's near impossible to make a storekeeper which doesn't have an ejector rod from a gun with an ejector rod. And it isn't valuable enough for someone to actually expertly do it. And
Right.
lo and behold, you ordered another letter, and then all of a sudden the letter comes back correct. So, we get stories all the time. I'm sure you do too. And you reach a point where the story's good. And I mean, I've had stories that I know are true, but I can't prove them.
Yeah.
There's no value added when I can't prove the story.
The one thing that kills me is when you get a customer that comes in, and this just happened recently with a Colt Pocket 9. Not exactly my slice of pie. I didn't think it was that high end of a gun.
Slice of pie.
They come in and he goes, "Well, I found this on Gunbroker and it's listed for $1,800. I want $15." Well, you're nuts because the gun's only selling for $7.
Well, it actually sold for more.
There's a whole bunch of people on here looking for this gun at $1,800, and
I ended up buying the gun from the guy.
Yeah,
and I'll be honest. I won't tell you what.
But you probably got a decent price on it too, because I mean,
well,
there has to be
he
room
went
for margin on these
he
things,
ran
so.
around to every gun shop in the free world. I made him an
He
offer.
did, and here's the thing: is like Blue Book value, I don't even use the Blue Book anymore. You probably use it a lot more than I do.
Not
But for
really.
me, with modern firearms, we use Gunbroker as, a deciding factor on what things are selling for. So you can ask whatever you want for that firearm, but I actually look at what's selling, what has bids on it, and as
what's
they
happened
close,
in the last 3 months?
Yeah, this is the market price of that firearm. And if it's selling for
And
$800,
it has, and
there's
it has
no
to
way
be.
we're giving you $800.
and it has to be tit for tat.
Yeah.
You can't bring me a gun, almost like the one that sold for $4,000,
Right.
except mine, somebody wrote their name in, engraved their social security
Yeah.
number, the barrel shot out of it, it's got changed parts, and it's been rusty. But it's almost the same. If you, use the Blue Book for this and notice something with it. When you open it up, money doesn't fall out of it.
Correct.
So you're not getting paid out of the Blue Book.
No.
And Fashted, the writer, is going to be a guest on the show, by the way. He was very interested in doing that. But when you look in the Blue Book, take a gun, don't do something super modern. Look at the 100% condition, look at the 98% condition, and look at the 95% condition. If it's a collectible gun, you lose half the value between 95 and 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a call. Let's take it. Welcome to the Gun Show. Who we talking to and where are you from?
Hey, it's Alan Gurney.
Al, did you and I go to school together?
I don't think so.
Did you go to Carmel?
No, I one of my teachers from when I was a kid at St. Mary's
Okay.
was a teacher there.
I
Mr.
had Watson.
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was the man that gained your respect.
Something like that.
6th, 7th, and 8th grade, he'd slap you around if you messed up in class.
What's on your mind this morning now?
Well, I just wanted people to understand that this isn't a happy holiday.
Thank
this
you.
is a somber holiday.
We were going to cover that. We saw it.
It's time to buy a poppy, maybe go visit a veteran's grave if you have one. And
take a minute, think about it.
Yep.
That's something I do with my children every year, and they're fairly young, but last year I saw it really sink in. We drive through the cemetery and find on grave sites that don't have flags or aren't marked, and mark them, and try and explain to them and make them understand that it's important that we remember the people that sacrificed the ultimate sacrifice for us to have the ability to do what we're doing now.
Right.
So.
Oh,
Exactly.
100% in agreement.
And not lose any of our freedoms any more than what they're trying to take away now.
And I don't think people mean any disrespect when they do that. I think because Memorial Day is a holiday weekend, people just immediately associate that with, an event.
Happy.
But here's the thing is when you're out grilling and, spending time with your family, it's important that you remember that, put that flag out in front of your
There's
home.
a million plus that aren't.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And it's important that we don't forget and we remember these things. So,
no, we appreciate you calling in. We were going to jump on that next, but and the thing with George was Clint had said it right before.
I said it before we even started the
Yeah.
show. I said,
Happy Memorial Day.
Nobody say Happy Memorial Day.
It's
just
the
sell it. George, you're going to pay. This is why we took George's mic away today.
Yeah.
So we fixed it.
Well, that, and I wanted to be sure he didn't spill all the details from the trip. But anyway, that comes out.
And he's walking crooked, so we won't get into that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, we're not going to get into that.
Let's not go there.
And Al, we appreciate that you're a regular caller on the show now. I always appreciate your insight. You always have something intellectual and fun to talk about. So.
I love listening to you guys. You guys are great.
I know you do. How's Margie doing this morning? Did you guys get up early, have breakfast, ready to go?
Yep. She took off for a Weight Watchers meeting.
All right. Wonderful.
Have her go for me.
Yeah.
Me too.
Sign me in.
Well, we're coming up at the end of the show here, Al. So
Yep. You guys be
we'll
safe.
see
You
you
have a
this
good
week.
weekend, and we'll talk to you next week. So we'll wrap it up real quick like this: is something is worth what someone is willing to pay you for it,
And that's
today.
it. And that's
And a
it.
dealer cannot afford to stay in business
If he's
and
paying retail.
pay you retail prices.
Yeah.
And when you go in a shop, in my shop, there's probably 300-400 guns.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere along the line, I acquired them, which means every one of those I have some kind of money wrapped up into. Some sell quick, some sell slow, some take years. The Rigby I mentioned has taken a while to sell. I haven't been that enthusiastic because I just flat like the gun. And if you, other than a few 1911s, yes, I'm powerless over them. I don't snake guns too often for myself. I don't even shoot that often, so it's not a big deal. And to finish what we started earlier, that Pocket 9 that the guy brought in, the gun was new in the box. It was legit. There was nothing wrong with it. It brought a little over $1,100.
Okay.
And that was what it sold for. That doesn't include shipping. That doesn't include.
And I'll be quite honest, I had more of a problem with that customer in general on how he approached us with that firearm. And, you know,
I think he thought
came
he
off
had
very
something
strong, and I was not.
He had something that was rare, which is true. They made less than 9,000 of them. He had something that was rare that nobody wants.
Correct.
And the reason nobody wants them is they weren't. It's a Colt, yeah, and they actually got sued over the gun. Had to quit making them. Another friend of mine, same guy with snake eyes.
It's like a mint condition gremlin.
Yeah, he has. I'm going to have him on the air, but we're going to talk about Israel. But he's got north of 250 of a particular Colt revolver, the majority of which new in the box.
Hey, before we close out the show here, real quick, 5 Star Firearms is having a sale this weekend, today and tomorrow only, 15% off all new in-stock firearms. That's a 2-day sale only. 15% off all in-stock firearms. We're literally making.
Does that include the ones I'm going to try and buy from you today?
Those are not new.
Okay. Real quick, Vintage Arms will be open until about 1 o'clock today, and I've been on the road since January, so I'm taking 2 days off, and I think I'm going to take my son and my dad golfing tomorrow.
Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend.
548